lights out, and away we go. Verstappen gets away better than Leclerc. Here comes George Russell. Carlos Sainz conceding a position to Sergio Perez already. Sainz hasn't had the best...
Hello, Formula One fans. Welcome to Formula Pun Racer, the channel where car racing and comedy collide. Today, I give you my review on the first two rounds of the 2024 F1 season, which all started in the Middle East. An interesting fact about these two races were, instead of how it usually starts on a Sunday night, it all started for them on a Saturday night out of respect of the Islamic holiday of Ramadan. And that's very important if you're racing in the Middle East. It all began in Bahrain, and last year's champion, Max Verstappen of the Netherlands in his Red Bull Honda-powered car, started on pole with Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari second, but it was not a good start for the Alpine Renault team of Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. The double whammy for this team meant they started in the very last row. From the time the lights went out, well, Max pretty much ran away with this one, but it was a rough start for Canada's Lance Stroll of Aston Martin. Going through the first few corners, he was tagged by Nico Hülkenberg in his Haas and got spun around. True, people say that Lance may not be a graded driver, but in this case, it wasn't his fault at all, eh?
It wasn't me!
While it was another predictable victory for Max Verstappen and his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez of Mexico finishing second, there was a lot of jostling for positions back behind the two Red Bulls. For instance, on lap 3, the McLaren drivers of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris would have a time getting by Fernando Alonso in his green Aston Martin, putting on their best St. Patrick's Day impressions on the track at over 150 miles per hour. Then on lap 11, there were quite an amazing scuffle between the two Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz Jr. The sparks were flying for those prancing horses, but at least in the end, it was Carlos Sainz Jr. who came out on top to finish third on the podium, so at least that's a respectable finish for Ferrari at least. In addition, despite the fact that Lance Stroll got spun around all the way to the back of the field at the start of the race, he would manage to claw his way all the way back up to finish 10th, so at least it was a double points finish for both Aston Martin and Ferrari. But when all was said and done, another boring Red Bull dominant performance by the Flying Dutchman and Max Verstappen.
Well, I do have one small criticism. The ending, it was a little, predictable!
Predictable indeed, Dr. Robotnik, especially with Max Verstappen running away with it. If anything that made this race a little less than predictable is the fact that all 20 starters finished the race, no retirements. With Logan Sargent of Team Williams unfortunately being dead last 2 laps down because at one point during the race, a battery issue plagued his car before continuing on. But the fact that he was able to continue and finish the race is miraculous, and no retirements, that's a rare thing to see in F1. Well, that is it for the first round of the 2024 season of F1 in Bahrain. And now we jump to round 2, which is slightly less than 800 miles southwest of Bahrain, across the Arabian Peninsula at the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia.
For the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where it's lights out and away we go, and it was a tentative start from Lando Norris. Verstappen and Perez both getting away well into the first corner. Verstappen ahead of Perez. Leclerc on the inside, looks like he's been beaten by the Red Bull off the line.
From the Bahrain GP to the Saudi Arabian circuit called Jeddah, Max Verstappen's Red Bull dominance continued with him starting on pole and Charles Leclerc's Ferrari starting second. Unfortunately, there'd be an interesting twist and turn of events before this race even started, as Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz Jr. of Spain had to withdraw from the race because at the end of the second free practice round out of 3, he was in such pain because it turned out he had appendicitis and had to go in for emergency surgery, which turned out rather well. And so, you'd think, would they withdraw the entry completely? No. It turns out that FIA Formula 2 driver Oliver Bearman of Chelmsford, England, would be Carlos Sainz Jr.'s replacement in Ferrari. And he's only 18 years old. This would be his F1 debut race. And he just barely missed out on qualifying in the top 10, and he started in 11th. But as for the start of the race, well, hardships would continue for Alpine Renault, as while Logan Sargent and Zhou Guanyu started in the last row, Guanyu of Sauber and Sargent of Williams Alpine Renault driver Gasly started in the second to last row, and on top of that, the bad luck continued with him because after starting last in Bahrain, he would end up finishing last on the first lap of the race with gearbox issues. But the only other retirement of the race after Pierre Gasly would be the Canadian Lance Stroll in his Aston Martin. Just when I thought he was beginning to pulse with performance improvement, back to reality we go, because on the 5th or 6th lap of the race, he was a little too aggressive going through the corners. He hit the wall, damaging the left front suspension and steering and going slap into the barrier. Once again, for those who like to criticize Lance Stroll, he may have had a tough race, but he sure gave us a bit of a laugh on the radio communications right after running slap into that tire barrier.
Hit the wall.
Okay, can you bring it back, Lance?
No, I'm in the wall.
Oh, boy, Lance. Thanks for giving us a bit of a chuckle, even if you stuffed your car into the tire barrier. Better luck in the next round, eh? At least Lance's teammate, Fernando Alonso, gave Aston Martin a 5th place finish, but once again, they're only 5th in points in the Constructors' Championship, as Max Verstappen and Sergio once again finished 1-2 for Red Bull. Ferrari would finish 3rd with Charles Leclerc, but interestingly enough, it's amazing to know that Charles's teammate, Oliver Bearman, who started 11th, would finish a steady 7th place. Quite impressive for this young Brit. And I gotta say, does he have a future in F1? I would say after a performance like that with Ferrari, he's got a honey of a performance waiting for this, so bear in mind with this man. For those of you who are sick and tired of Max Verstappen and Red Bull dominance, I can imagine one thing in the words of Rita Repulsa. Oh, it gives us such a headache that we just can't stand it.
What a bozo.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please check out my previous videos and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Formula Pun Racer, where you don't have to be a racing fan to get a good laugh. And click the notification bell as well to be notified of future video content. The next round, round 3, takes place at Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia, the home of Daniel Ricciardo and Oscar Piastri. And this is by far the first race and the only race of the season where we can throw a steak and shrimp on the barbie for these two, and hoping that Oscar McLaren and Daniel of V-Carbs can do well on home soil. And can they hop to victory like a kangaroo, and can they qualify well for the race? Tune in to find out. And I'll see you all in the next video. Congrats once again to Max Verstappen for taking the first 2 wins of the season. I'm Aaron Cylinder, firing on all cylinders.